I'll leave the books up a little bit. So do you guys have any questions? We'll take the next 10 to 12 minutes and answer any questions that come up. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to type those in, stretch a little bit. Let me know what you think. Okay, so we'll try to take these as they come in. All right, first one. Can this be applied to different industries? So I've talked a lot about my industry, which is kind of the agency world, internet advertising world. But the Great Places to Work awards are for all types of industries, things from grocery stores to manufacturing plants to just general large corporations. So this works no matter what company you work in. People always want to be happy. And again, giving people the autonomy to figure out how they want to be happy and how they want to create their environment is really important. Okay, well, here's a good question. What do you suggest for working with government employees? And again, one of the things we find in the companies I've worked with is there's always some kind of constraints. And so even in those highly constrained areas, we find small ways for people to be happier. And it starts by working with a small group rather than a big group. Instead of taking something across the organization, trying to change everything, find a few people. Get those people to network together and find out what they like to do to be happier. Little things like putting plants on their desks and allowing them to have plants on their desks. Doing a small canned food drive. And again, a lot of times you have to sit down with HR. You have to come up with this list of 20 things and sit down with HR and say, can we do this? And they'll tell you no. And you say, okay, well, what if we turned it this way? What if we changed it that way? Again, and as individuals, it's finding those people and hanging out with those people that lift you up versus the people that bring you down. And sometimes your group is a down group. So go find a person who's an up person. And then see if you can start, find one person who might have the potential to become happier in your group and work with that person and hang out with them, find out about what their stresses are, what their challenges are, start caring about them. One of the great things about happiness is you can be happy by just giving, whether the other people become happy or not. So find out what everybody's birthday is and, bring in a cake for their birthday, whether they like it or not. Right? Or send them an email to tell them happy birthday. So it's not easy, but there's a lot of little things you can do. Yeah, one of the questions, okay, how do you help somebody who just doesn't want to be happy? And again, we've kind of talked about that. You really can't. You can't make other people happy. All you can do is create an environment, and they have to choose to accept that. And everybody is a little bit skeptical when you first start doing things like this because everybody thinks everybody else is out for themselves, and it's every man for himself type world. And when you just start giving and helping and being happy all the time, people aren't sure how to handle it. But once they see that it's a habit, it's something you do all the time, people start to react really well. And again, it starts with a few people, and people, even though they're skeptical, they get a little jealous seeing how happy you are, and then how happy you and 2 friends are, and then how happy you and 5 friends are. And it just kind of becomes a viral effect that everybody catches. How do you convince top management that happiness strategies are a worthwhile goal? That's a really good question. And the first answer is you don't talk about happiness. When you work with executives, when I've worked with executives, I just leave that word out. It's too fluffy for most people. Most executives understand the concept of engagement. Most of them do studies on engagement, so talk about engagement. And engagement is just kind of a smaller piece of happiness overall. The second thing is to talk to them about productivity and performance. There's a lot of statistics out there about happiness and engagement improving productivity and performance. And so that's what you want to talk to them about. And by the way, all of those top executives are individuals, and all of those top executives want to be happy. So if you talk to them about the things of, how important are relationships in your life? Because any top executive has probably some pretty good relationships and is probably pretty good at networking. So, how important are relationships in your life? Well, we want to encourage those kinds of relationships for our people. One of the things I talk to top executives about is understanding the difference between the brain and the butt. You want to manage people's brains. Their brains are important. It's how they think and how excited they are and how engaged they are, and that's how productive they're going to be and how good their work's going to be. If you just manage their butt, make sure they're sitting in that seat, well, they could be surfing the web all day and maybe not doing anything for you. You want people who are excited about your business and want to help your business. So those are some of the things you can talk to top execs about. Another question: what is the most important aspect of all these things? So of all these things I've talked about, relationships seem to be a cornerstone. I guess let me back up for a second. There's not one key thing to improve happiness in the workplace. It's a lot of little things. And it's kind of a daily thing. It's doing things daily, not one activity, but on a regular basis doing things to create the environment. And one of the examples I use is happiness soup. Everybody has to take these ingredients, mix them up themselves to kind of come up with their own flavor that they like, their own happiness soup. And so different things are going to be more important to different people. But if you look at the research, I would say relationships comes up a lot. And having good relationships with your supervisor, really, really important. Relationships with peers. And if you don't have those, you tend to want to find someplace else to work. Another thing is having a purpose and understanding why you're there. So having that purpose. And the other thing is recognition. People being recognized for doing a good job. People want to matter. They want to make a difference. And so helping them understand that they matter and you appreciate what they do. Those are the things that are important. I like everything at my job except my boss makes me stay late very often, and that makes me unhappy. I don't know how to say no. Any suggestions? And this is a big question that we run into all the time, and it's a tough thing to understand. But you kind of have to set rules. You kind of have to make it real clear to your boss that you have other priorities in your life, and you're going to get done everything they want you to get done. But you have to be home, for instance, for your son's soccer game. I've made it real clear throughout my career that I will make it to my son's my sons and daughters' football and soccer games, and that I will be there for vacation. For instance, I schedule a vacation every year, and I don't miss it, and I don't call into work, and I don't check my email. And I let my bosses know that up front. And nobody's really had a problem with it. When I sit down and I just explain it, my number one priority is my family, or my number one priority is my health, or my number one priority is, whatever it is. And that means I'm not going to be able to stay late tonight. Now, every now and then, I don't mind staying late and helping. But on a regular basis, I need to go and take care of those priorities first. So another piece of that to you being happier is understanding that there may be negative consequences of that, but your happiness is more important than trying to keep that boss happy. You can't control his happiness. You got to work on yours. Let's see. Okay, well, a real basic one. What if I don't like my boss? Very common, and I think what you have to do is find out what's good about your boss. Find out what you respect about them. Find out why they're in the position they're in. Hopefully it's for good, legitimate reasons. But, it becomes the process of writing down and focusing on the good things about your boss rather than the bad things about your boss. And, again, one real good example is maybe you can't find a a lot of great things about your boss, and you just need to focus on what you can learn from them so that you can be a better supervisor and boss. You know, we're all human. We all make mistakes. And when you're in a supervisory position, you have a lot more opportunity for everybody to see and judge those mistakes. And so feeling a little empathy for that and some respect for the position they're in may help a little bit. All right, so any questions I didn't get to, I'm going to collect up and shoot an email out. So maybe by Monday or Tuesday, all of your questions should be answered. If anything comes up that I didn't answer, shoot me an email, and I'll answer those as well. I really appreciate all your time. You can see more information on pursuitofhappiness.org. And again, feel free to ask me any questions. Thanks very much for your attendance, and have a good weekend.